You have lived before, and before that, and before even the stars above you were born. Your mind was already wandering through the ocean of existence. But how long has this cycle been spinning? Is there a first birth, a first tear, a first goodbye? The Buddha gave a clear answer. There is no discoverable beginning to samsara. Prepare yourself. This will change the way you see your life, your past, and your future. Think of the last time you promised yourself something would be different this time. A new relationship, a new job, a new year, and somewhere, deep down, you already knew it would end the same way it always does. There was a woman who married 4 times. Each time, she said the same words to her friends. This one is different. Each time, the marriage began in warmth and ended in the same silence, the same disappointment, the same walking away. By the 4th time, she stopped telling people it was different. She simply stopped hoping. A young monk once asked the Buddha the same question that woman never got to ask. Venerable Sir, when did this all begin? When did we first enter this cycle of wanting and losing? The Buddha answered with a gentle firmness. That is not a question that leads to liberation. You seek the beginning of a circle, but a circle has no starting point. This is the heart of it. Samsara has no discoverable beginning. 2 forces drive the wheel. Avijja, ignorance. Not seeing impermanence. Not seeing that nothing holds still long enough to be owned. Tanha, craving. The thirst for more. For the next version of happiness. That will finally be enough. These 2 fuel karma, intentional action. And intentional action conditions the next turn of the wheel. Picture a potter's wheel. A hand gives it one push and walks away. The wheel keeps spinning long after the hand is gone. Now picture that same wheel spinning inside a woman's chest. Every time she opens her heart to someone new, she does not push it each time. She only thinks she does. The wheel was already spinning before she ever met him. It will keep spinning after he is gone. In the suttas, the Buddha compares a being wandering in samsara to a blind man searching for a black bull in the dark, and to an archer shooting arrows into the night sky, hoping to strike a star he cannot see. We have all been wandering blindly, not guided by wisdom, but by emotional impulse, by desire. We shoot arrows of effort and building careers, relationships, identities, but our aim is flawed because we do not see clearly. The Buddha once said, "It is not easy to find a being who has not been your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your son, or your daughter, somewhere in a life you don't remember. The person who broke your heart this time may have once been the child you rocked to sleep. You have worn every role. You have caused this same pain and received it more times than you can count." Here the Abhidhamma offers something radical. There is no enduring self that travels from life to life. There is only a series of conditioned phenomena, nama, the mental, and rupa, the physical, arising and passing away, moment to moment. But because of kama, this flow continues without interruption. Just as one candle lights another, the flame continues, but it is not the same flame. A natural question arises. If I have lived before, why don't I remember? Memory is tied to the brain and the conditions of this particular life. Past life memories are clouded by the complete transformation of physical and mental faculties at rebirth. But the Buddha remembered. Through deep meditation, he recalled countless aeons of past lives. If you have lived this exact heartbreak before, under a different name, in a different body, what, exactly, are you hoping will be different? This time, there is a kind of crying that doesn't come from one loss. It comes from underneath, from somewhere older than the loss itself. Have you ever cried and felt like it wasn't only about what just happened? A wealthy merchant lost his only son to illness. He came to the Buddha, breaking. "You teach that nothing is mine. But my child was mine." The Buddha looked at him, not with distance, but with a terrible kind of gentleness. "Did you make his body? Can you keep it from aging? Can you command it not to die?" The man cried harder. Then the Buddha said something that should have broken him further. But instead, it cracked something open. This child has died and been reborn more times than you can count. In many lives, he was your father. In others, your enemy. You cry now, but you have cried for him before, in 1,000 forms. The Abhidhamma explains this precisely. Our sorrow comes from attachment to Sankara-conditioned things that were never built to last. People we love, bodies we identify with, beliefs we hold as permanent truth. None of it stays, not even for a moment. Whatever is born will age and die. That is the law. Picture the merchant's hands, still warm from holding his son, now empty. Picture that same emptiness in your own hands. Once. The photo you keep flipping back to at 2 a.m. The voicemail you haven't deleted. That is not new grief. That is old grief, wearing a new face. In the Abhidhamma, the mental factor called moha, delusion, prevents us from seeing this pattern. It keeps us locked in a dream of false hope. This time will be different. This life will give me lasting happiness. I can protect my loved ones forever. But moha makes us forget impermanence. And as a result, we suffer. Every time you feel grief, disappointment, heartache. And remember, this is not new. You have done this before. It is not personal punishment. It is the natural law of samsara. The suttas speak of a longing for reunion, a deep emotional pull to be with those who have passed or are far away. This longing leads to rebirth. Why? Because the mind that dies, thinking of desire, attachment, or regret, is a mind that generates new becoming. Whatever one frequently thinks and dwells upon, that becomes the inclination of the mind. In other words, our sorrow becomes our rebirth. In the Abhidhamma, the mind is described as a stream of moments, chitta each one arising and falling away rapidly, yet conditioning the next. This flow does not stop at death. The final chitta of this life gives rise to the rebirth-linking consciousness, padisandhi, which begins the new existence. Like one wave following another in the vast sea. And so, we drift. Not as travelers on a path, but as floaters in an ocean, pulled by the winds of our own craving. The Buddha once pointed to a great river and said, "Monks, if all the tears you have wept in samsara were collected, they would exceed the waters of this river." One day, Venerable Ananda saw the Buddha gazing quietly at the world and asked why. "Ananda, I see the river of blood beings have shed from having their heads cut off as criminals, the milk they have fed their babies, the tears they have wept from loss. It is a river that has no shore. If the tears you've cried in this one lifetime already feel like an ocean, what does it mean that this is only the smallest pool in a river with no shore? Somewhere, there is a version of you that has already died, more times than you have had birthdays in this life. Not metaphorically, literally. Imagine a man standing at his father's grave, thinking, for the first time, about his own death, not with fear, but with a strange, quiet arithmetic. How many graves have I already filled that I don't remember? In the quiet dawn hours, the Buddha once pointed toward Mount Vipula, near Rajagaha, and said, "If the bones of a single being through many births were gathered, they would form a mountain higher than this one. Your skeleton from this life adds to that pile. Your skeleton from your last life rests beneath it. Your skeletons from lives as animals, dogs, birds, deer, fish, add to it further. Not for a century, not for a millennium, for countless eons. Picture a mountain range at dusk, mist settling into its folds. Now picture that same mountain, made entirely of your own bones, layer upon layer, going back further than memory can reach. You are standing at its base, small, breathing, alive for now. The Buddha did not say this to frighten you. He said it to wake you up. This mountain of bones is not a curse. It is a mirror. Look into it and ask, how many bodies will satisfy me? How many graves must I fill before I choose to be free? This questioning is the beginning of Yoniso Manasikara wise reflection, which leads to disenchantment, renunciation, and ultimately, Nibbana. Wisdom arises. Once you truly see the truth of the mountain of bones, you no longer chase rebirth. You no longer envy those with riches or beauty. You begin to develop three things. First, sati, mindfulness, to see each thought arise and pass. Second, pana, wisdom, to recognize what is empty and what is real. Third, virya, effort. To practice diligently, knowing the cost of delay, you begin to climb. Not the mountain of bones, but the noble eightfold path, a true summit that leads out of the cycle. I shall not add more bones to the pile. This life shall be the turning point. If you have already died this many times and forgotten it every time, what makes you so certain? You will remember to wake up before the next one. Right now, without asking your permission, something entered your mind through one of 6 doors. A sound, a thought, a memory. And you reacted before you even noticed you had a choice. A man scrolls his phone at midnight, unable to sleep. A photo appears. Someone he used to love, smiling with someone else. Before he can think, his chest tightens, his thumb hovers. His whole night has changed because of 6 words on a screen. The Buddha taught that suffering begins exactly there at the 6 sense bases: eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. These are 6 open doors through which the world enters, and the wheel of samsara spins. Contact happens, then feeling, then craving, then clinging, then becoming, then birth, then suffering. This is how rebirth begins, at the doors not somewhere far away, but in this exact moment, at this exact door. Picture your mind as a monkey inside a house with 6 windows. Every time something appears outside, a sound, a notification, a face, the monkey leaps to the window. It never rests. It has never once asked itself why it keeps jumping. In Vipassana, we learn to see sight as sight, sound as sound, thought as just a thought. This is sense restraint, not repression, but wise awareness. 34. Life is a stage. The eye is the light. The ear is the sound. The mind is the script. When we stop reacting, the stage becomes still, and the self vanishes. The Buddha did not tell us to shut the doors. He told us to guard them. We think we own our experiences. I saw this. I heard that. I feel this pain. But these are only contacts, not a self. The self that flinched at that photo at midnight was never as solid as it felt. The Buddha spoke of 31 realms of existence, from the hell worlds of intense suffering to the blissful heavens of the gods, but all of them are impermanent. What we call self is only a flow of mental and physical processes. Seeing this is not philosophy. It is freedom. The next time something enters through one of your 6 doors and your chest tightens before you've had a single thought, who, exactly, is reacting? And has that who ever actually been found? The noble eightfold path: right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration, is not a list to memorize. It is what remains once you stop feeding the wheel. Through mindfulness and wisdom, we can see each link of dependent origination arise and stop feeding it. And when we stop clinging, the wheel stops. There is no more rebirth, no more becoming. This is Nirvana, the unconditioned, the unborn, the unmade. You are not stuck. You are simply spinning, and the wheel turns only because we push it. See the truth, drop the illusion, walk the path, and the wheel will stop. If this truth touched you, share it. Reflect on it. Live it. And walk toward the great freedom the Buddha saw beneath the Bodhi tree. May you find the path. May you walk it well. May you be free. May all beings be liberated from samsara.